A night like any other. Natalie Brooks wiped down the nurse's station counter for what felt like the 100th time that shift. The fluorescent lights of Seattle General Hospital buzzed overhead as she checked her watch. 3 more hours until her shift ended. Then she had exactly 4 hours to sleep before starting her second job at the pediatric clinic across town. It had been this way for 2 years now, ever since she became the sole guardian of her 15-year-old brother. Tommy, she had learned to survive on coffee and determination. The other nurses often told her to slow down, to take care of herself, but Natalie knew what she was doing. Every extra shift meant another deposit into Tommy's college fund. Every overtime hour meant he would have opportunities she never had. Their parents had died in a car accident when Tommy was 13, leaving behind only debts and heartbreak. Natalie had stepped up without hesitation. The automatic doors of the emergency room burst open just after midnight. Natalie looked up from her paperwork to see a man in an expensive suit practically carrying another man through the entrance. The suited man's watch caught the light, and Natalie recognized it immediately from a magazine Tommy had left lying around. That watch cost more than she made in 6 months. Someone help. The man shouted, his voice filled with genuine panic. My assistant collapsed during our meeting. He said his chest hurt, and then he just went down. Natalie moved into action immediately, her training taking over. She grabbed a wheelchair and rushed toward them. Bring him here. What's his name? Peter Chang. He's 32. No known health conditions. The suited man helped lower Peter into the wheelchair, his hands shaking slightly. I need you to stay calm. Sir, Natalie said firmly, already wheeling Peter toward the examination area. Is he on any medications? Does he have any allergies? I don't know. I should know that, shouldn't I? The man followed close behind, running his hand through his perfectly styled hair. God, what kind of boss doesn't know if his assistant has allergies? Professional distance while the doctors examined Peter. Natalie found herself stuck in the waiting area with the anxious boss. He had introduced himself as Jordan Hayes, though he seemed surprised when she didn't react to his name. He kept pacing, checking his phone, then putting it away and pacing some more. Mr. Hayes, Natalie said gently, you should sit down. The doctors are very good here. Your assistant is in capable hands. Jordan stopped pacing and really looked at her for the first time. Have we met before? You seem familiar. I have one of those faces, Natalie replied, making notes on her clipboard. And no, we haven't met. I would remember, are you sure? Maybe at the Cascade Foundation Gala? Or the Tech Innovation Summit? Jordan sat down across from her, leaning forward with sudden interest. Natalie almost laughed. I don't attend galas or summits, Mr. Hayes. I work. Something in her tone made Jordan pause. He studied her more carefully, taking in the simple scrubs, the practical shoes, the hair pulled back in a functional ponytail. No jewelry except for a simple silver necklace that looked well worn. There was something refreshing about her complete lack of interest in impressing him. The diagnosis 2 hours later, Dr. Patterson emerged with good news. Peter had suffered a panic attack, not a heart attack. He was dehydrated, exhausted, and his blood pressure was dangerously high. But he would be fine with rest and lifestyle changes. He's been working 80-hour weeks for the past 3 months, Dr. Patterson said, looking directly at Jordan. His body simply gave out. He needs at least 2 weeks of complete rest, and then a significant reduction in his work hours. Jordan's face showed genuine concern. Whatever he needs. I had no idea he was pushing himself so hard. Maybe you should pay more attention, Natalie said quietly, then immediately regretted it. It wasn't her place to comment, but Jordan didn't get angry. Instead, he looked at her with something like curiosity. You're right. I should have noticed. I should have cared enough to notice. The invitation as dawn broke over Seattle, Jordan found Natalie at the nurse's station, finishing her shift reports. Excuse me, Nurse Brooks? She looked up, surprised he had bothered to learn her name. Yes, Mr. Hayes. I wanted to thank you for taking care of Peter tonight, and for what you said earlier. You were right to call me out. He paused, seeming uncertain for the first time. I was wondering if you might let me take you to breakfast as a thank you. There's an excellent place downtown that does amazing omelets. Natalie closed her folder and looked at him directly. Mr. Hayes, I appreciate the offer, but I have another job to get to. And even if I didn't, I would have to decline lunch then.
Dinner.
Name the time and place. Jordan pulled out his phone, ready to add it to his calendar. I don't think you understand, Natalie said patiently. I'm not interested in being taken to expensive restaurants by wealthy strangers. I did my job tonight. Your assistant received excellent care. That's what I'm here for. Jordan blinked, clearly not used to being turned down. It's just breakfast. No strings attached? To you, maybe it's just breakfast. To me, it's time away from work or sleep or my brother. Time has value, Mr. Hayes, and I choose to spend mine differently than you might expect. She stood up, gathering her things. I hope your assistant makes a full recovery. Make sure he actually takes those 2 weeks off. She walked away, leaving Jordan standing alone at the nurse's station. More intrigued than he had been by anyone in years, curiosity takes hold over the next few days. Jordan found he couldn't stop thinking about Nurse Natalie Brooks. He had been turned down before, but never quite like that. She hadn't been rude or cold. She had simply been clear about her priorities, and he wasn't one of them. It was completely foreign to his experience. He tried to tell himself it was just wounded pride. Jordan Hayes was used to getting what he wanted. His tech company had made him a billionaire by 35. He had been featured in magazines, given TED Talks, and had more dinner invitations than he could possibly accept. Women usually said yes when he asked them out. Except for Natalie Brooks. Against his better judgment, Jordan asked his head of security to do a background check. What he learned surprised him. Natalie was 28, had graduated top of her nursing class while working 2 jobs. She had taken custody of her younger brother 2 years ago after their parents died. She currently worked 50 to 60 hours a week between 2 jobs, lived in a modest apartment in a middle-class neighborhood, and had no debt except for a small car payment. There were no red flags, no scandals, no secret life. Just a woman working incredibly hard to take care of her family. Jordan found himself admiring her more than he wanted to admit. An unexpected return a week later, Jordan showed up at the hospital again. This time he was alone, carrying coffee from a local shop he had researched online. Not expensive coffee from some boutique place, but regular coffee from the diner down the street from the hospital. Natalie was restocking supplies in the hallway when she saw him. She sighed. Mr. Hayes, is everything okay with Peter? He's doing great, actually. Following doctor's orders, resting at home, driving his wife crazy with his boredom. Jordan held out one of the coffees. I brought you this. I asked the nurses at the station what you usually order. Black coffee with 1 sugar. Natalie looked at the coffee, then at him. You asked the nurses what I drink? Is that weird? I'm realizing now that might be weird. Jordan suddenly looked less like a confident billionaire and more like a nervous guy hoping he hadn't messed up. I just wanted to say thank you properly. And maybe apologize for being pushy last week. There was something disarming about his honesty. Natalie accepted the coffee. Thank you. That's thoughtful, Jordan said. Encouraged by the small victory, would you consider having coffee with me sometime? Not an expensive restaurant. Just coffee. In conversation? Why? Natalie asked directly. Why are you interested in having coffee with me? You don't know anything about me? Jordan was quiet for a moment, considering his answer. Because you're the first person in a very long time who has treated me like a regular person. You didn't care about my money or my company or my connections. You just did your job and told me the truth. That's rare in my world. And I think I could learn something from someone like you. It was perhaps the most honest thing Jordan had said in months. And despite all her reservations, Natalie found herself almost tempted to say yes. I'll think about it, she said finally. Now I really do need to get back to work. She walked away. Jordan smiled. It wasn't a yes, but it wasn't a no either. And for the first time in his adult life, Jordan Hayes was willing to be patient. The pattern begins. Over the next 3 weeks, Jordan Hayes became a surprisingly regular presence at Seattle General Hospital. First, it was his assistant Peter who needed a follow-up appointment. Then his driver had a minor cut that definitely needed professional attention. After that, Jordan himself came in complaining of headaches, that the examining doctor quickly determined were from stress and too much screen time. Natalie saw through every single excuse, Mr. Hayes, she said one Thursday afternoon, finding him in the waiting area for the 4th time in 2 weeks. There are at least a dozen hospitals in Seattle. Several of them are closer to your office downtown. Why do you keep coming here? Jordan looked up from his phone, trying to appear surprised to see her. This hospital has excellent reviews, very competent staff. The staff at Swedish Medical Center is also competent, as is the staff at Harborview. Natalie crossed her arms. What's the real reason? He had the grace to look slightly embarrassed. Would you believe me if I said the coffee in your cafeteria is exceptional? No, because it tastes like burnt rubber and regret. Natalie couldn't help the small smile that tugged at her lips. You need to stop using emergency medical services as a dating strategy. It's expensive and wastes everyone's time. You're right, Jordan admitted, standing up. I'm sorry. I just didn't know how else to see you. You won't answer my calls or respond to my messages. That's because I didn't give you my number, Natalie pointed out. About that, Jordan ran his hand through his hair sheepishly. I may have gotten it from the hospital directory, which I'm now realizing was completely inappropriate. Natalie should have been angry. She should have reported him. But there was something almost endearing about his complete lack of game. This was a man who could buy anything he wanted, and he was fumbling like a teenager asking someone to prom. One coffee, she heard herself say. Tomorrow is my day off. One coffee, one conversation, and then you stop showing up here with fake emergencies. Deal. Jordan's face lit up like she had just handed him a winning lottery ticket. Deal. Absolutely. Thank you. Coffee and conversation. They met at a small coffee shop in Natalie's neighborhood, nowhere near the upscale parts of Seattle that Jordan usually frequented. He arrived on time, wearing jeans and a simple sweater instead of his usual designer suits. Natalie noticed and appreciated the effort. So Jordan said after they had their drinks and settled into a corner booth, "Tell me about yourself. What made you want to become a nurse?" My mom, Natalie said simply. She was a nurse too. She used to come home and tell us stories about the people she helped. She said nursing wasn't just about treating symptoms. It was about seeing people at their most vulnerable and choosing to care. I wanted to do that too. Jordan listened intently. She sounds like an amazing person. She was. Natalie wrapped her hands around her coffee cup. Both my parents were... They were driving home from their anniversary dinner 2 years ago when a drunk driver ran a red light. They died instantly. I'm so sorry, Jordan said, and the sympathy in his voice sounded genuine. Tommy was 13. I was 26, just starting to get my life together. Suddenly, I was a parent. Natalie smiled sadly, but I wouldn't change it. He's my brother, my family. That's what matters. Jordan was quiet for a moment. That's why you work so much. You're supporting both of you. I'm building a future for both of us, Natalie corrected. Tommy is smart, really smart. He wants to study engineering at University of Washington. I'm making sure he gets that chance. What about your future? Jordan asked gently. Your dreams? Natalie looked surprised by the question. My dreams are making sure Tommy succeeds. That's enough. The gift day week after their coffee date, Natalie arrived home to find a large envelope on her doorstep. Inside was a letter addressed to Tommy, informing him that he had been awarded a full scholarship to a prestigious summer engineering program. All expenses paid, including travel and accommodation. Natalie's stomach dropped. She knew immediately where this had come from. Tommy was ecstatic. Nat, did you see this? This is incredible. They only accept 20 students nationwide. Tommy, we need to talk about this, Natalie began. But her brother was already calling his friends, too excited to listen. The next morning, Natalie showed up at Jordan's office building. His assistant tried to stop her. Natalie walked right past him and pushed open Jordan's office door. Jordan looked up from his computer, surprised. Natalie, this is unexpected. Did you pay for that scholarship? She demanded, closing the door behind her. Jordan's hesitation was all the answer she needed. How could you? Natalie's voice shook with anger. How could you do this without asking me? Do you have any idea what you've done? I was trying to help. Jordan stood up, confused by her reaction. Tommy is talented. He deserves opportunities. That's not your decision to make. Natalie's eyes blazed. You don't get to swoop into our lives and throw money around like it solves everything. This is exactly what I was afraid of. I don't understand, Jordan said honestly. I thought you would be happy. The program is legitimate. Tommy earned his spot based on his application. I just made sure the financial barriers were removed. You don't understand because you've never had to struggle, Natalie said, her voice breaking slightly. You've never had to work for everything you have. Money has always been the solution to your problems. But for people like me, accepting handouts means losing our dignity. It means admitting we can't take care of ourselves. Jordan felt like he had been slapped. That's not how I see it at all. It's because you don't have to see it that way. You're the hero writing the check. I'm the charity case. Natalie shook her head. I thought you might be different. I thought maybe you actually understood. But you're just like every other rich person who thinks money can buy anything, including people's respect. Natalie, please. Jordan reached for her hand, but she pulled away. Stay away from me and my brother, she said quietly. And thank you for proving I was right to say no in the first place. She left, and Jordan stood alone in his office. Realizing he had made a terrible mistake, the awakening for 3 days, Jordan tried to call Natalie. She never answered. He sent flowers, which were returned. He sent a letter apologizing, which was never acknowledged. Finally, he realized that if he wanted to make things right, he needed to actually understand what he had done wrong. Jordan started researching poverty, pride, and the psychology of charity. He read articles written by people who had received help and how it made them feel. He discovered terms like savior complex and performative generosity. For the first time in his life, Jordan confronted the possibility that his money might have been hurting people as much as helping them. He thought about his own life, about how he had inherited his first $1 million from his grandfather's tech patents, how he had turned that into $1 billion through investments and acquisitions. He had always thought of himself as self-made, but was he really? He had never gone to bed hungry, never wondered how to pay for health care, never had to choose between electricity and groceries. Jordan made a decision. If he wanted to be worthy of someone like Natalie, he needed to change, not just his actions, but his entire understanding of what it meant to help people. Starting over 2 weeks later, Natalie was surprised to see a familiar face at the free clinic where she worked part-time. Jordan Hayes was standing in the waiting area, but this time, he wasn't a patient. He was wearing scrubs and talking to the clinic director. What is he doing here? Natalie asked Dr. Chen, the clinic's founder. He's volunteering. Dr. Chen said, smiling. Asked if he could help with administrative work, restocking supplies, whatever we needed. Said he wanted to learn about healthcare from the ground up. Natalie watched as Jordan struggled to figure out the inventory system, accidentally knocked over a box of tongue depressors, and generally looked completely out of his element. He wasn't taking photos for social media. He wasn't making a big show of his presence. He was just there, trying to help in the most unglamorous way possible. Over the next month, Jordan showed up every week. He mopped floors, sorted donated medical supplies, and helped elderly patients fill out insurance paperwork. He made mistakes constantly, but he kept showing up. Natalie tried to ignore him, but it was impossible not to notice. One evening, after a particularly long shift, they found themselves alone in the supply room. Why are you doing this? Natalie asked finally. Jordan looked up from the boxes he was organizing. Because you were right. I didn't understand. I've spent my whole life thinking money was the answer to everything. But money, without understanding, without respect, without actually listening to what people need, that's just ego dressed up as generosity. So this is about proving something to me? Natalie asked carefully. No, Jordan said honestly. This is about proving something to myself. You opened my eyes, Natalie. You made me see that I've been living in a bubble, making decisions about people's lives without understanding their reality. I needed to change. Whether or not you ever forgive me, I needed to become a better person. Natalie studied his face, looking for any sign of performance or manipulation. She found none. I'm still angry about the scholarship, she said. You should be. It was wrong of me. Jordan sat down on a crate, looking tired. For what it's worth, I contacted the program and asked them to revoke the funding I provided. I told them Tommy should be evaluated on his own merit. You did what? Natalie was shocked. I explained the situation, and they agreed to review his application independently. If he gets in, it will be because he deserves it, not because I paid for it. Jordan met her eyes. You were right. He doesn't need my money. He needs opportunity. There's a difference. For the first time in weeks, Natalie felt the anger begin to soften. That must have been hard for you, admitting you were wrong. It was one of the easiest things I've ever done, Jordan said simply, because you've taught me something important. Real help isn't about making yourself feel good. It's about empowering others to succeed on their own terms. Natalie sat down on a crate across from him. You're really trying, aren't you? Every day, Jordan said. I'm not perfect. I still mess up. But I'm trying to be someone worthy of your respect. Even if I never get another chance with you. I want to be that person. He sat in comfortable silence for a moment. Surrounded by medical supplies and the quiet hum of the clinic settling down for the night, Jordan, Natalie said softly, I think I misjudged you too. I assumed you were like every other wealthy person I've encountered. I didn't give you a chance to learn or grow. That wasn't fair either. Jordan looked up, hope flickering in his eyes. Does this mean you might consider giving me another chance? Maybe, Natalie said with a small smile. But you're going to have to earn it. And that means no more grand gestures, no more expensive gifts, and definitely no more trying to solve my problems with your credit card. Deal, Jordan said immediately. How about we start with another coffee? Same place, same terms. Just two people talking. I think I can do that, Natalie agreed. As they left the clinic together, both felt something shift between them. It wasn't romance yet, but it was the foundation of something real. Something built on honesty, respect, and the willingness to see each other as they truly were. Building something real over the following months. Jordan and Natalie developed an unexpected friendship. They met for coffee every week, always at the same neighborhood cafe. Jordan continued volunteering at the clinic, gradually becoming a useful member of the team rather than a bumbling newcomer. He learned how to properly stock supplies, how to talk to patients with respect, and how to see healthcare through the eyes of people who struggled to afford it. Tommy did get accepted to the summer engineering program on his own merit, which made Natalie prouder than any scholarship money could have. Jordan attended Tommy's presentation at the end of the program, sitting in the back row and clapping enthusiastically when Tommy demonstrated his robotics project. Your brother is brilliant, Jordan told Natalie afterward. And before you say anything, I had nothing to do with his success. That was all him. I know, Natalie said, smiling. And thank you for being here. It means a lot to both of us. What Natalie didn't know was that Jordan had been working on something much bigger than a single scholarship. He had spent months consulting with educators, social workers, and former scholarship recipients. He had listened to their stories, understood their struggles, and designed a program that addressed real needs without stripping away dignity. The Hayes Foundation for Healthcare Education was born quietly. Without press releases or gala announcements, it offered scholarships for nursing students, paramedics, healthcare workers who were already in the field but wanted to advance their education. The applications were anonymous, judged solely on merit and need. Recipients received not just tuition money, but mentorship, networking opportunities, and job placement assistance. Jordan kept the foundation completely separate from his public life. He didn't put his name on buildings or pose for photos with recipients. He simply created something that would genuinely help people, the way Natalie had helped him understand what real generosity looked like. The return of the past, everything changed on a rainy November evening. Jordan and Natalie were having dinner at a small Italian restaurant near her apartment. laughing over Jordan's latest volunteering mishap involving a confused patient and a misplaced specimen cup, when a woman's voice cut through their laughter. Jordan Hayes. I heard rumors you'd gone native, but I didn't believe them. Jordan's face went pale. Standing beside their table, immaculately dressed in designer everything, was Chloe Bradford. His ex-fiancée, Chloe Jordan, stood up automatically, years of social training kicking in. What are you doing in Seattle? Business, darling. Always business. Chloe's eyes swept over Natalie with barely concealed disdain. And who is your dinner companion? She looks familiar. Wait, don't tell me. Her smile turned sharp. You're a nurse at that hospital Jordan used to visit constantly. How absolutely precious. Natalie felt her spine stiffen. She recognized a predator when she saw one. Natalie Brooks, she said evenly, not offering her hand. And you are. Chloe Bradford, venture capitalist, and Jordan's former fiancée. Chloe's emphasis on former somehow made it sound temporary. We were together for 3 years, until Jordan decided he needed to find himself or some such nonsense. I needed to find my conscience, Jordan corrected, his voice cold in a way Natalie had never heard before. There's a difference. Chloe laughed, a crystalline sound that felt calculated. Oh, Jordan, always so dramatic? Anyway, I'm in town for the Healthcare Innovation Gala tomorrow night. You are coming, aren't you? Everyone who matters will be there. I wasn't planning on it, Jordan said firmly. You should reconsider. I have a business proposal that might interest you. Something that could actually make a difference in healthcare, unlike whatever charity hobby you've taken up. Chloe finally acknowledged Natalie again. No offense, dear. I'm sure what you do is very noble and all that. None taken, Natalie said sweetly. I'm sure whatever you do is very profitable and all that. Chloe's smile tightened. How delightful. She has personality. Jordan, darling, do come tomorrow. Bring your friend if you like. It might be educational for her to see how real change happens in healthcare. 8 o'clock, Grand Hyatt. She swept away, leaving an uncomfortable silence at the table. I'm sorry about that, Jordan said immediately. Chloe is, well, she's everything I used to be. Everything I'm trying not to be anymore.
Happened between you two?
Natalie asked, genuinely curious. Jordan sighed. We were engaged 2 years ago. Perfect on paper, both from wealthy families, both driven, both completely empty inside. I thought that was what love was supposed to look like. Then my assistant Peter had that panic attack, and I met you. I realized I'd never actually cared about anyone but myself. He reached across the table, taking Natalie's hand. Chloe wanted a partner who would expand her empire. I wanted to become someone worthy of yours. Natalie squeezed his hand. Are we going to that gala? Do you want to? Jordan looked surprised. I think we should, Natalie said thoughtfully. I want to see your old world, and I want to understand what you walked away from. The gala, the Healthcare Innovation Gala, was exactly what Natalie expected. Hundreds of wealthy people in expensive clothes, making small talk while servers circulated with champagne and tiny food that cost more than her grocery budget. Jordan stayed close to her side, introducing her to various people as his girlfriend, which made Natalie's heart flutter even though they hadn't officially defined their relationship. Chloe found them within 20 minutes. Jordan, Natalie, so glad you could make it. Chloe air-kissed Jordan's cheeks and gave Natalie a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Natalie, that dress is absolutely charming. Very practical. Where did you get it? Natalie looked down at her simple black dress, bought on sale from a department store. A store. Where clothes come from? Several people nearby chuckled, and Chloe's smile became even more fixed.
How amusing.
Jordan, I need to steal you for just a moment. There are some investors who want to discuss the Telemedicro project. You remember the one we were developing before your little sabbatical? Actually, Jordan said firmly, anything you need to discuss with me, you can discuss in front of Natalie. Chloe's eyebrow arched. It's rather technical. I wouldn't want to bore her. I'm a nurse, Natalie said calmly. I understand healthcare. Try me. For the next 20 minutes, Chloe outlined her proposal. A telemedicine platform that would connect wealthy patients with premium doctors for virtual consultations. It was slick, profitable, and would serve exactly the people who least needed help accessing healthcare. What about low-income patients? Natalie asked when Chloe finished. How does this help people who can't afford regular care? There are other programs for that. Chloe waved her hand dismissively. We're targeting the premium market. People who value convenience and quality. People who already have access to excellent healthcare, Natalie clarified. Exactly. They're willing to pay premium prices, which means excellent profit margins. Chloe turned to Jordan. This is exactly the kind of opportunity you used to jump at. One project like this could double your net worth in 5 years. Jordan looked at the proposal, then at Chloe, then at Natalie. No. Chloe's smile faltered. No, Jordan repeated firmly. I'm not interested in projects that only serve people who already have everything. If you want to develop a telemedicine platform that reaches underserved communities, that addresses healthcare deserts, that actually solves problems instead of creating luxury services, then we can talk. But this? He handed the folder back. This is exactly what I walked away from. People around them had gone quiet, listening. Chloe's face flushed. You're turning down millions of dollars for what? Some misguided sense of social responsibility? Jordan, this is business, not charity. Maybe that's the problem, Jordan said. Maybe we've been thinking about it wrong all along. Maybe business should serve people, not just profit. This is her influence, isn't it? Chloe turned on Natalie, her composure cracking. You've turned him into some kind of bleeding heart. Do you have any idea how much damage you're doing? Jordan was brilliant before he met you. He was successful, powerful, respected. He was empty, Natalie said quietly. And he's still successful and respected. He's just using his power for something meaningful now.
Oh.
Meaningful. Chloe laughed harshly. He's volunteering at free clinics and turning down profitable ventures. That's not meaningful. That's self-destruction disguised as morality. That's enough. Jordan stepped between them. Chloe, I'm sorry our relationship ended the way it did. I'm sorry if my changes have confused or upset you. But I'm not the man you knew anymore. I don't want to be that man anymore. You're making a mistake, Chloe said, her voice tight. Jordan looked at Natalie, his expression softening. I'm correcting one. The truth revealed after they left the gala, Jordan and Natalie walked along the waterfront, neither of them speaking for several blocks. Finally, Jordan stopped and turned to face her. There's something I need to tell you, he said. Something I should have told you months ago. Natalie's stomach tightened. Okay, remember how you said I shouldn't try to solve problems with money? How you wanted me to understand what real help looks like. Jordan took a deep breath. I created a foundation. A real one, with proper structure and anonymous applications. It provides scholarships for healthcare workers who want to advance their education. Natalie went very still. When? I started it 3 months after you yelled at me about Tommy's scholarship. It took 6 months to set up properly. I wanted to do it right this time. No names, no ego, just actual help. Jordan pulled out his phone and showed her the foundation website. I didn't tell you because I didn't want you to think I was trying to impress you or buy my way back into your good graces. I did it because you taught me that having money means having responsibility, and I wanted to use mine better. Natalie scrolled through the website. Reading testimonials from recipients, looking at the application process, understanding the scope of what Jordan had built, her eyes filled with tears. You really did this? She whispered. You changed my life, Jordan said simply. You made me want to be better. This is just the beginning. I've been working with Dr. Chen to fund clinic expansions. I'm developing technology specifically for low-income healthcare access. I'm trying to build the world you believe in. Why didn't you tell me? Natalie asked, wiping her eyes. Because I needed you to see who I am now, not what I can do with money. I needed you to love me, if you were going to love me, for the person I'm becoming, not the resources I have. Jordan took her hands. Natalie Brooks, you are the most extraordinary person I've ever met. You're compassionate without being weak, strong without being hard. And you see the best in people, while holding them accountable to be better. You've made me want to deserve you, Jordan, Natalie said, her voice breaking. I know this is fast, and I know we've only been officially dating for a few months. But I also know I've never been more certain of anything in my life. Jordan reached into his pocket and pulled out a small box. This isn't a ring. It's not yet. This is a promise. Open the box to reveal a simple silver necklace with a small pendant shaped like a heart with a medical cross in the center. This is a promise that I will spend every day trying to be the man you deserve, that I will use what I have to help others, not to impress them, that I will listen before I act, understand before I judge, and never stop learning from you. Jordan took the necklace and fastened it around her neck. And when you're ready, if you're ever ready, I hope you'll let me spend the rest of my life loving you. Natalie touched the pendant, tears streaming down her face. You really have changed. You changed me, Jordan said. The question is, can you love the person I've become? Instead of answering with words, Natalie pulled him close and kissed him. It was a kiss that tasted like salt and hope, like endings and beginnings, like everything she had been too afraid to let herself feel. Yes, she whispered against his lips. I love exactly who you are. 6 months later, the wedding was held not at a 5-star hotel or exclusive venue, but at the community center near Natalie's apartment. It was small, simple, and perfect. Tommy walked his sister down the aisle, trying not to cry and failing. Dr. Chen and the entire free clinic staff were there. Jordan's assistant, Peter, was the best man. Even George from the coffee shop showed up with a gift. A year's worth of free coffee for the happy couple. Jordan had asked Natalie what kind of wedding she wanted, expecting her to say something small and practical. Instead, she had surprised him. I want the kind of wedding where everyone feels welcome, she had said. Rich, poor, family, friends, everyone. I want to celebrate love and community, not wealth and status. So they did. The decorations were handmade by Tommy and his friends. The food was potluck, with everyone bringing their favorite dishes. The cake was from the local bakery that Natalie had been going to since childhood. There were no expensive flower arrangements or designer dresses. Just people who cared about each other, celebrating something real. During his vows, Jordan's voice broke. Natalie, you taught me that the best version of myself isn't the richest or the most successful. It's the most compassionate, the most present, the most willing to see others and truly care. You taught me that love isn't about grand gestures or expensive gifts. It's about showing up every day and choosing each other, choosing kindness, choosing to be better together than we could ever be apart. Natalie's vows were equally tearful. Jordan, when I met you, I thought I knew exactly who you were. I was wrong. You've taught me that people can change. That privilege can be used for good. And that love means seeing someone not just for who they are, but for who they're trying to become. Thank you for becoming someone I could trust with my heart. As they danced their first dance as husband and wife to an acoustic guitar played by one of Tommy's friends, Jordan whispered in Natalie's ear. I have one last confession. Should I be worried? Natalie teased. The foundation's annual budget just got a major increase. We're expanding to 10 cities next year. Jordan smiled. And I'm stepping back from my tech company to focus on healthcare full-time. Specifically, developing affordable technology for underserved communities. Natalie pulled back to look at him. Are you serious?